Right, all over it. Oh man, so like I was saying before, man, I'm planning on getting so drunk this weekend, man, at this Portuguese
Uh-huh.
festival. I'm,
Okay.
I'm planning on getting so wrecked. Sangria, jungle juice, pitchers of beer. Just planning on getting super like frat boy wrecked. I'm gonna get
Frat boy.
yeah, I'm gonna get so wrecked that if I pull off a miracle and bring a chick home or I go home with her or whatever, I'm gonna feel bad for her because I'm gonna be so wrecked. I'm gonna suffer from erectile dysfunction. Do
Uh-huh.
you ever heard of that erectile dysfunction?
Not since I graduated high school, no.
No, all right, well, that's good to know that you're getting erectile dysfunction in high school. Yeah, it's pretty much kind of like whiskey dick.
Wait. Oh, we got,
What?
we're live on the air here. And,
Wait, you've been recording this the whole time?
um, apparently my elbow hit the button.
Ah. Oh, anyway, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the This Is Happening podcast. We're filming.
Yes.
We're live here in Kenosha, Wisconsin, at the This Is Happening studio. I am your host, Diego Santos, and with me as always is introduce yourself, Hector.
Hector, or as most know me, Xanthor of the Third Dimension.
Hector, the Xanthor, Third Dimension.
Yes.
For the first-time listeners, this is our first podcast. Let's quickly tell you what we're about. This podcast is about homoerotic fan fiction homoerotic fan fiction.
And the women that love them.
The women that love them. And the first fan fiction we'll be reviewing is, what's it called? Slytherin, the Harry Potter one.
I thought it was Slither in his Chamber of Secrets.
There it is, Slither in his Chamber of Secrets. I only read the cliff notes. To be honest, I'm not much of a reader. It's the one where Harry and what's his boy's name? Weasley.
Yeah, Weasley.
Yeah, or Harry and Weasley, they get married instead of Weasley's sister. Spoiler alert.
But just so you know, in this one there is no Hermione. He's called Hermione.
Hermione. I thought it was Hermaphrodite.
No, you're reading the wrong one.
Oh man, there's just so much.
That's the one I wrote.
Oh, that's one you're writing. Yeah, there's so much homoerotic fan fiction out there, which brings me up a question. Because I know a lot of females that are into writing fan fiction, yet like so many of them end up turning their fan fiction into homoerotic fan fiction. Like a friend of mine, I'm not gonna say her name, I'm not gonna embarrass her, but she actually wrote, when she was in high school, she wrote a professional wrestling fan fiction, and all her angles involved homosexuality. Then we got this one with the Harry Potter.
Which is so far from the actual pro wrestling, in which guys will grapple, bring each other down to the ground, get sweaty,
in their underwear,
and sit on each other's faces. Because it's a really far cry.
Yeah, as Tommy Dreamer always says, it's not gay, it's pro wrestling.
Exactly.
But I don't know. I just wonder why does it go there? Like with females, we're gonna open up with the message board, and if we ever have any female listeners, please drop us a line on the Twitter, which is hashtag This Is Happening podcast. I don't even know our own handle, but you can find us on the Twitter, on the website, or however you found this website. Oh,
Hey Diego, do you know why we don't have a handle yet?
Why?
Because we can't be handled.
That's fucking right. That's why we're single.
I'm not crying. I'm perfectly together and sane.
Those are tears of manhood.
Yes.
So yeah, that's the question I wanna know, because it just confuses me. Like I don't understand it. Like why chicks go crazy over like homoerotic stuff, and same thing with dudes. Dudes go crazy over like seeing chicks kiss, and it raises my eyebrow. But in theory, like it really doesn't make sense. It's like you're taking yourself out of the equation, because in theory, if you're a female and two dudes start making out, guess what? You're out of the picture, and vice versa. Like if I'm a dude, I almost said if I'm a dude, I am a dude. If I see
here's my theory. I think it's kind of like if you manage to find a deer in the forest just chilling, drinking from a brook, and you go there and then you see it and it's like, wow, that deer is drinking from the brook, and then you look at it and its majesty and its beauty, and it's something you've never seen before, and then you realize you can fuck it. it's kind of like that.
But you can't though because you're not part of its
habitat.
Kind of, yeah. You're not part of its meal plan. It's just like
it's meal plan. Okay, no, but in all honesty, I always thought it was like the mentality has always been, oh, there's a chick. Well, for dudes, like, oh, there's a chick, she's hot. No, there's another chick, she's hot, but you're right. Like watching, you know what it's like when you see two people of the same gender making out, and you're trying to like sexualize that. It's like you're being really, really hungry, and someone takes two burgers and smushes them together, but they don't allow you to eat either of them. That's what it's like.
All right. No.
That's the only explanation I can give. Like, if you're really hungry, you say, "Damn, I want a burger." Someone shows you two burgers, and you can't have either of them.
So you're just enjoying people. I don't know, watching people eat the food and just fantasizing that you are eating the food.
Yes. Right. So it makes perfect sense what you just said.
All right. So that's
very good, astute point.
That's your theory. All right, so
hey, you don't want to put me on this podcast. So if I start rambling like a crazy person, it's all on you, buddy.
No, this is why I have you here. I mean, I call the opening segment "Bits and Rants," where I try to do a comedy piece, and somehow you end up start ranting. So it makes sense.
Okay. Yeah. Not to mention the fact. Nah, go on.
All right, so quickly, Hector, we actually got our first guest on the line.
Awesome.
Let me knock out this interview, and I'll call you back because I don't know how to do three-way on Skype or in real life. I don't know. That's not my thing. So I'm a one-on-one kind of man. All right, let me end this call on you, Hector. All right, on the line we have Mr. Neal Jones, internet icon, podcast pioneer, and a personal hero of mine. Neal, introduce yourself.
Thank you. It's nice to be here. Some may know me as Jackie Jones from In Your Head over at IYTrusting.com live Friday nights at 8:05 p.m. Eastern. Some may know me as Nasty Neal from Without Your Head live Thursday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern over WithoutYourHead.com. And some might not know me, and those people, they probably just don't matter. But they'll know me now after this interview. Thank you for having me on.
Hey. Thank you so much for being our very first guest. Literally, our very first guest. And who else to have?
Break in.
Yeah, so quick question. How long have you been doing the whole podcast game?
Since 2005, so it's the 10th anniversary, but actually the 11th year, if you actually are proficient in math.
Yeah, man. Most people nowadays aren't.
Yeah. Honestly, though, when we started the show, as far as I know, it predated podcasts. If podcasts themselves were around, they weren't really well known. It was probably about a year or so into the show when podcasts started coming up and people said you should also put the show on podcast. So I say you started in 2005, but at that time it was what we called internet radio. And so it was online and you could download it, but it wasn't on iTunes. And the term podcast wasn't really widely used at all.
Yeah, I found you guys off of the YouTube. It was just Sid Justice shoot interview, Steve Carino shoot interview, and I just listened to you guys on YouTube before discovering the website.
Yeah, try to get the shows out there by any means. On YouTube, on iTunes, on the website. Get recaps on wrestling sites, recaps on horror sites. Any way people can now listen to the show is good.
Yeah, it's pretty funny because a few weeks ago you did an interview with some MMA guys, and as far as I know, you're not an MMA expert. Yet you had a really great rapport and great interview with these MMA people. And I'm wondering, how does one prepare for something like that, or do you do any preparing, or is it just natural?
Yeah, that's a good question. Definitely prepare for the interviews. I tried it. Since we started the show, I probably back in the day, I think I would go more by what I would write up beforehand. But like anything, the more you do it, the more comfortable you get with it. But I like to write out an outline of questions and where the interview will go. Now, if it's something like almost all wrestlers, especially anyone from the 80s, the 90s, or or maybe in the 70s. I'll just have just knowledge about them in general because I grew up watching it, and so that'd be easy for me. I can just write up a quick outline of stuff I'd like to talk about, where I'd want it to go. If it's without your head, it's people from movies. If it's something I'm familiar with, I can do the same thing. If not, then obviously we go and watch your different movies, and there's more preparation usually on without your head because it's usually something specific that they've done, like this movie or they directed or they starred in or they're a writer or whatever. Something from MMA is different because, like you said, I don't follow MMA. I used to watch it back in the day when it first started. So I know guys like Dan Severn and Ken Shamrock and the Gracies, but I don't really know anyone currently. And it's not like I can really go and just watch someone's whole career of MMA. I mean, that would probably take a long time to really study. So for that, it's a lot different. It's kind of doing a little bit of research on them and thinking of something maybe out of the box to ask them, but yet still relevant to what they do. And I always think the more I start doing the interviews, there's going to be people out there who know more than I do. I've been at the horror movie conventions, and some people will know the key grips of every horror movie ever made, every actor in every Friday the 13th film and stuff. And I've seen a lot of those, but I don't necessarily know all that stuff. But I think you always have to go to your strengths, and I think my strength in the interviews have always been making people feel comfortable and having it more like a conversation than just asking questions and them answering. Now, that always doesn't work because you have to have chemistry with people, but again, I think that's been a strength of mine throughout the years is having chemistry with a lot of different people.
Yeah, that was my next question was, what if you don't have chemistry? Because, when I talk to you, no offense to your partner, the 1-inch biceps. I think if I lived in West Virginia, we'd be best friends. But when I call your show and you if you step out and it's just us two together, you kind of tell there's not that chemistry isn't there and things kind of get dry.
Mm-hmm.
So I was wondering what is your solution to something like that? If you're talking to a guy and there's zero chemistry and you're uh-oh.
Yeah. Honestly, I think, luckily, like I said, I think that's a strength of mine. I can usually find chemistry with someone, and I think it's a natural ability, I guess. I would think that's the strongest part of doing the shows is the personality, and part of personality is being able to talk to people. And if you people familiar with In Your Head, the wrestling show, will know that primarily I do most of the interviews, even when it was 3 hosts on the show, just because I think I am better at it, and that's no knock, on Intro, because I think he's very funny and he adds stuff to the interviews, and especially just the parts when it's just me and him talking back and forth. On Without Your Head, which actually took some getting used to, because I think Annabelle's actually very good at the interviews too, and she'll ask different things. But that actually took a little getting used to, and it still does to this day, because I'm used to kind of taking over the whole interview myself, because out of necessity, and also, I was good at it. But to have someone else there who's actually good at it too, sometimes it's nature to me to kind of talk over them and want to take over the whole interview. So it takes a little getting used to have that kind of being able to step back once in a while when someone else asks some stuff. But I think when those interviews are really good, they're great. They really work well with Annabelle and I. With recently, Dieter Laser was on the show, and I thought that one that was one of my favorite interviews.
Yeah, you do seem to have.
But there are, to answer the question, there are some times though you do find someone that they're just, wow, this is just not going well, and it's frustrating. So, but I honestly don't think it's happened too many times.
Yeah, because I think you have what I call audio pheromones.
Yes. In fact, there was one interview we had. I remember this one. We had Ryan Shamrock on the wrestling show, and she really had no memory of anything she's ever done in wrestling, and seemed to have no knowledge of professional wrestling, which is very strange because she worked in it for years, and didn't seem to care at all about wrestling. And so I actually was typing with Intro during the show, and I was like, I'm going to get an hour out of her. And he was like, no, just end it. I was like, no, I'm going to get an hour. And it was just like a personal goal of mine to make that interview go an hour with someone who like literally couldn't care less about wrestling. And it did go over an hour. If it's successful or not, I don't know. That's up to the audience. But me personally, I thought it was a personal goal to get an hour out of her, and I thought it worked.
I'd love to hear it. Is it online in the archives or?
Yeah, actually, all the interviews for both shows they're all archived on the website. iWatchWrestling.com has all the wrestling ones, and WithoutYourHead.com has all the horror one. And for this year, since it is the 10th anniversary, I've been trying to get every interview I've ever been part of for both shows up on YouTube, which has been quite a lot larger task than I did.
It's quite an undertaking because that's literally 10 years of interviews, and YouTube takes forever to render. And
plus I got to find them and cut them out, and then I also like to have a cool picture with them, so I can't just put them up there. I have to I got to make a banner for this, and so it's a lot of work, but I enjoy it.
That's the most important thing. If you don't enjoy it, why do it? Quick question: Did you ever interview Tank Abbott?
No, we were having him on a couple times, but that never happened. That's another guy like I know from the old MMA days, plus his WCW run. Tank Abbott I think that would be a good guess.
Yeah, I mean, I have a personal question to ask that guy. I think he beat me up at a concert in Brooklyn once, and I want to confirm if it's him or not. So like, I've been telling the story for years, and each time I tell the story, there's like a 50 to 70% chance I got my ass kicked by Tank Abbott at a Michael Graves show. But if I'm able to find him and if it's actually him, that would make that story awesome.
I would just stick with it being him, because like if you say you got beat up by Tank Abbott, that's pretty badass. But if you say like I got beat up by a guy who looked like Tank Abbott, the story's not as cool. Yeah,
what's that old saying? Don't let the truth get in the way of a good story.
Exactly. I take that to heart. If it's entertaining, that's all. I mean, someone might say something that has no truth to it, but hey, if it's entertaining, and I'll just throw in allegedly, then I think it's all good.
Yeah, you just toss that word at the very end.
Exactly.
Yeah. So long story short, since I'm a long story short kind of guy. Michael Graves was performing at this awesome rock venue called L'Amour's in Brooklyn, and this guy, Tank Abbott-ish guy, was literally plowing through people. Like, he'll shoulder block somebody, and rows of people would fall down. Like, it's like a domino effect. He was getting off on that. He was literally getting off on that. Like, he'll knock down 4 or 5 people at a time, and you see him smiling. And he tried to do that to me, and I'm literally, at this time, I only weigh 120 pounds. And I fell to one knee. I didn't fall all the way down. And he took umbrage with that, and he slammed me against the wall, put his forearm on my throat, took a few shots, and I was just half marking out and half like, holy shit, I'm getting my ass kicked here. And it's like, holy shit, but it's Tank Abbott, so what do I do? So I just took it with a smile. I'm like, yep.
That's a great story.
Yeah.
But I did interview Michael Graves, oddly enough.
Oh, so there you go. Circle of life.
Yes. It's 7 degrees of Tank Abbott.
Yeah. Another question I was always thinking about, seeing your photos, since we're Facebook friends, seeing your photos online, when you were much younger, and I reckon, you have some of your high school friends and your local friends with you. Do they ever message you and act like, hey man, what's up? You live quite a pretty cool and exotic life. You know what I'm saying? Human tables.
Yeah, that happens. That happened quite a bit right before my 20th high school reunion. That happened. I guess this year was last year, and so what's weird is sometimes there'll be people that I actually were friends with. Peter Corey found me on there, and he was one of my best friends in school, and he was actually the only other wrestling friend I had in junior high, because that was in 90. Nobody gave or 92. No one liked wrestling all then. So we would talk about wrestling. And then he found me, and he saw I did the wrestling show, and so that was cool. But what's funny is a lot of people might not know, but I was voted most quiet in my high school. And so, I didn't necessarily have a lot of friends, and so like girls will message me now who like never talked to me at all in high school or throughout like because I actually our whole class went to school together for 12 years.
Yeah.
And so like they'll contact me and be like, oh, they act like we're best friends or something. And I think it's because they'll see pictures of me, like you said, having human tables, interviewing all these people. And I'm just thinking, you never talked to me at all. Now they're acting like we're best friends, and it's like, get lost. There was even one guy who used to, I remember this clearly, used to punch me in the arm, and he used to lick his thumb and press it on my glasses, because I wore glasses back then.
Yeah.
And like he kept trying to go out to eat with me, and I'm like, I don't want to go eat. Why would I want to meet this guy again? And then I used to always, well, I still say sometimes I'm straight edge, which I thought was funny because there's all these pictures of me drinking, so it's clearly not true.
Yeah.
And then one day he's like, oh, you just lied to me, telling me you're straight edge, but you're really not. Just use pictures you drinking. And he's like, that's no way to treat someone who's like your best friend since we were 12. And I'm thinking, he really either has a totally different memory of our relationship in junior high and high school, or maybe he thinks that's being friendly with somebody, spitting on the glasses. I don't know.
Yeah, that's very weird. Actually, if I could get personal with you, your LASIK story is pretty much what led me to getting LASIK myself.
Oh, well, they're very cool. Like I had worn glasses since I was 6. Very bad eyesight. Actually, before I got the LASIK, like legally blind in the one eye, and I had 20/60 vision in the other eye with glasses, and I literally couldn't read the top line on the thing. And the nurse was like looking at me, she's like, "Can you even see me?" And I'm like, "Yeah," but it's like basically a blur. So I got LASIK, and literally the next day, like I could see better than I've ever been able to see in my life, and that really changed a lot for me. It's it's a lot different actually being able to see people that are in front of you when you're talking to them.
Yeah, people take eyesight so for granted, and it's just like, to me, it was very liberating. Didn't have to depend on glasses or contacts or nothing. It was just like.
Yeah, even now, since I got it 7 or 8 years ago, maybe not quite that long, but either way, I'll still wake up every once in a while and reach over to put on like glasses, because it was just like, every morning I get up, put my glasses on, and I'll do that. And every once in a while, I'll even go to push up my glasses, even though there's nothing there.
Oh, like from your nose, like that position.
Yeah.
That's pretty funny.
Mm-hmm. So, it's like Phantom Glasses.
Yeah, Phantom Glasses, which is also the name of my rock band and horror movie coming up. Phantom Glasses, rated R.
So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, so your entire class is from kindergarten to 12th grade. That's like Little House on the Prairie stuff, isn't it? Like,
it was the last class of Sandwich that did that. We went from kindergarten to 6th grade at the one school, and then 7th grade to 12th grade in the high school. Yeah, it was the last class to do that. After that, they created new schools, and but yeah, before that, we went from kindergarten to 12th grade together.
Oh, nice. Do you have any upcoming conventions or what's it called? Dinner and a movie adventures coming up?
Let's see. Well, Dinner and a Movie, if people don't know, is it's Hector and myself. And basically just go, we watch a movie or do something, and then we review the experience over dinner. Either if it's a movie, we review the movie over dinner. So it's a combination movie review and meal review, and really it's more just about us talking and being silly than necessarily just talking about the movie. Coming up in August, we'll be going for our 3rd annual trip to the Catskills in New York to do stone carving with Kevin Van Hentenryck, who is the star of Basket Case, called classic horror film from the 80s. And now he's a stone carver by trade. And he does a free seminar, so anyone listening can come and do this. He does it for like 2 weeks, so you can come for like a day, a few hours, or you can stay the whole 2 weeks or a few days, whatever you want to do. And he teaches you the ancient art of stone carving. And it's cool because Annabelle's a really talented artist. I'm not, and so, but both of us had a fun experience because she did really well, and he taught me, like real basic stuff, and it's a lot of fun. So we'll be doing that, we're planning on doing some stops while we're there. We might go to big. It's like we just now posted this on my Facebook page. It's like big gay ice cream shop or something. So that'll be fun. So we'll do that. I don't know. I'm sure there's some big summer movies coming out, so we'll probably do them. Actually, we might go to P-Town. If people aren't familiar with that, it's Provincetown on Cape Cod, and it's a big gay and lesbian community. And since we're taping this, they just now passed the law. Gay marriage is legal. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of hoopla going on in P-Town, and I've never been there, even though I'm from the Cape. And so that'll be fun, and we'll get some videos of our hijinks there. For conventions, we've got one coming up. I'm not sure if I'm supposed to talk about it yet, but it'll be, if it happens, it'll be our first time ever at this specific horror movie convention. I'll say the name of it. It's Spooky Empire. Hopefully, that will happen in October.
Oh, that sounds nice. Did you hear about this thing that just happened? I just got a blurb of it. This Disney movie called Inside Out that just came out. It's kind of like Herman's Head with Pixar. So so the theater's full of little kids, and whoever was in the projector messed up, and instead of putting on Inside Out, they put on Insidious 3.
Yeah, I mentioned actually on Without Your Head this week. It's really funny, and then if you read the quotes, it's like, oh, we're seeing dismembered children, all stuff, and then it made me think, like, did they just watch a whole movie and just, well, man, this Pixar animation's really improved. It's just like, live action people up there on the screen. Like, didn't they realize that they weren't watching the movie? I mean, I haven't seen Insidious 3, so I assume kids don't just get slaughtered like in the opening credits. Maybe they do. I don't know, but it seems like they just sat there and watched the movie for like an hour before they even realized.
Yeah, that's pretty funny. Speaking of, I can't pronounce his name. Mike from Basket Case. I was thinking about asking him, even though he lives in the Catskills, and my geography is terrible. Anything outside of New York City. I was gonna see if he wanted to go to the play, because I saw he shared it on Facebook after I shared it. There's a Basket Case play in New York City called Casey. Look it up on Google, people. Casey. 30 years later. It's only playing on Mondays, like every other Monday. So I was gonna see if he wanted to go. I'm thinking about August 17th, the day before my birthday.
Yeah, we would definitely like to go. We were actually seeing maybe if we could make this all part of the Van Hemstring trip. If we could plan it all together. We'll have to work out the details, but yeah, we'd definitely like to go.
Oh, that's all right. Birds of a feather think together, or something like that.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Plus, it would really fit in because we're going to see Kevin, who was the star of the movie. So if we would go and see a play based off his movie from 30 years ago, and then see it would, maybe we could even get him to come along. That'd be pretty awesome.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was thinking about like sending a message if he wanted to hit the city, but like I wanted to, yeah, because like I said, my knowledge of geography is horrendous. I just know Catskills, somewhere upstate, and I don't even know where that is.
Yeah, it's Hunter, New York, in the Catskills, which it's not far from Woodstock. It's a really nice area. In the summertime, it's really hardly anybody up there because it's people go up to go skiing. So in the summertime, it's fairly quiet.
Yeah. Are you active on the Twitter at all?
What was that?
Are you active on the Twitter at all?
Twitter, we do have Twitter. I don't use it too much. I know people always are on me about using it more. I'll be honest. My friend Ron was the one who got me on MySpace back in the day. I was like, oh, what the hell is that for? And he's like, no, it'll be good for the show. And he made me a MySpace, and that was popular. Then it just totally died. And then it was something Vaughn. Andrew Vaughn, who's a fan of Without Your Head, he was like, you guys should really get on Facebook. And I was like, screw that. Who cares about Facebook? And then he went and made the Without Your Head Facebook page, and that really has blown up over the years. So yeah, I guess I should probably get on Twitter. We should stay on this Twitter and Instagram. Those are really blowing up. I'm not a big fan of using the Twitter though, because you almost have to really dump yourself down when you write anything. It's like you're like typed in speak like 1984. It's like you have to write double plus good because you only have so many characters, so like it's hard to express yourself.
In 140
But
characters.
yeah, we're up there. It's at without your head up.
All right, cool. That's it. That's one thing. I got a Twitter, but I'm just slowly starting to use it. Just like it took me forever to learn the MySpace and learn the Facebook, and we always gotta. I'm afraid what's gonna happen like in 10, 15 years.
Earlier you said story short. I think I said a short story long just a minute ago.
It's usually how my stories are, and whenever I say long story short, it's a lie. It's usually pretty long.
Yeah. Well, when you're saying about if you don't have chemistry with your guests, sometimes you just have to bullshit and talk really, just expand the story, make it very long, basically filler, but make it entertaining.
There's
a little hint for you.
Yeah, this is what do we call it? This is right here. More than just a podcast. It's a podcast lesson. It's a lesson in history.
Exactly.
And that's why first few episodes, I need people that I know have chemistry and people that I know can who can carry me until I get my legs. This is like training wheels.
I got you. You're doing well.
All right, thank you, Mr. Jones. And on that happy note, we're gonna end this episode as we're hitting the 25-minute mark of the interview.
I believe this is their longest interview to date.
Yes, it is, and so far it's been the best interview I've ever had on this podcast.
I feel honored.
Oh man! Do you have any parting words, Mr. Jones?
Thank you for having me. It's been my pleasure. I really do appreciate you asking me to come on. I've known you for a long time, met you in person, and good luck to everything going on here on This Is Happening podcast.
Yes, this is happening. All right, thank you very much. We'll love to have you again when I'm, without the training wheels, and I think
you'll be too big to have me back.
Nah, that's not true. But I'm glad to have you. We'll tell our next time we'll tell our stories of Atlantic City, and hopefully we can tell stories of New York City.
Very cool. Anytime you want, so let me know.
All right, cool. Thank you, Mr. Jones.
Thank you.
And we're back. I'd like to once again thank Neal Jones from WithoutYourHead.com, InYourHead.com, or InYourHead.com. Google it. Find them on Facebook, Instagram, the Twitter. They're all over the place. Excellent podcast if you like horror movies. Without Your Head. If you love wrestling and general wackiness, In Your Head. All right, Hector. So there's this convention coming up in a couple of days. Are you going or what? The comic one.
Comic book convention. I very rarely go to conventions.
Why?
In my opinion, they're not what they used to be. Back then they were really great, and a lot of things went on. But things, conventions have changed. Some of the changes are good. Some of the changes are bad. But they're like for me, they're just like chewed pieces of gum. All the flavor is gone.
Huh. What makes you say that?
What's that?
What makes you say that?
Well, before I explain, I will admit to this that the reasons are exclusive to me. If people share my beliefs, that's great. If they don't, well, I'm sorry, but I will name 3 bad changes. I'm going to name 3 good changes. The first in the series, it's become way too. A lot of these cons become way too commercial, especially the Big Apple Comic Con, because it's all about. They're not so much cons; they're more like just glorified flea markets now. People just go there to sell things. And, people go to cosplay. I mean, if you could cosplay to a flea market, I think it'd be a lot more popular. But that's my first thing. My second beef with the with Comic Cons these days is that they're just so far away. I mean, there's one being put together in Newark at the Prudential Center. They're talking about that. It's most likely a definite. But the truth is, I think it would have been a lot nicer if this was earlier. But still, these cons are pretty far away, and it costs a lot of money to get into them. And we're talking like $70, $80 plus for multiple days.
Just to get in? Holy jeez.
Yeah, just to get in. Like, freaking Anime Next is like $80 for 4 days, which is madness in my opinion.
$20 a day.
And the third reason, what's that?
That's at $20 a day. That's not too bad, but
no, probably not. But that's the thing. If you try to go individuals, like $50 a day.
Yeah, that's not happening.
So if you want like to go all 4 days, you can buy it all as a pack. But if you try to like divvy up the days, you're like, oh, it's still gonna be it's not gonna be that price. They're still gouging you. And finally, the last reason, and this is a reason that's a double-edged sword. So I'm gonna put it in both my good things and bad things about Comic-Con categories. No more slutty costumes. Slutty costumes were a great thing about Comic-Con because slutty costumes equaled slutty girls. And let's face it, if you wanted to get some trim, good chance you could get some at a Comic-Con. All you have to do is scope out and find the girl in the Deadpool bikini and like, look, game time.
Yeah, but I don't know. You say that, but let's be honest. For every one hot chick, there's probably like 100 dudes. So it's not like anyone did.
I'm sorry, what was that?
I said, the numbers game is not in the average dude's favor. For every girl, it's probably like
you're absolutely right. Like by ratio, there is like maybe 5 guys for every one girl, and if you go by attractiveness, there's like one really hot chick for every like 12 dudes. But I've been able to talk to chicks. I've made out with a couple of chicks at Comic-Con. It's pretty cool. Now for the good changes.
Don't gloss over that. What do you mean you made out with some chicks at Comic-Con?
There was, I don't know what, I actually have a story, if you don't mind me sharing the full story. It's not long.
Yeah, that's all we're here for. Sure.
I remember a couple of years ago, I believe it was probably 2010, I was at the Comic-Con, at the Big Apple Comic-Con, and I bought the 4-day pass, and I was there on the final day, Sunday, and, it was about around 7 o'clock, people were starting to close up. And I was just walking around looking for something to do. It was, all the vendors have gone and closed up shop, and there was just an hour till the place closed up. And I was walking, and I hear some girl yelling free hugs. And I'll go check what this is about. So there's this really cute girl, long black hair, and she's yelling out free hugs, free hugs. And I was like, fuck it, I got nothing better to do. I went up to talk to her, and we started getting a conversation going. And she says to me, and it's like, so when we started talking, I said to her, hey, listen, I got nothing going on. I'll just stick here and give out free hugs with you. So we're giving out free hugs, which is really odd, but I was bored out of my mind beforehand. And by the time we realized it, there was 2 more people. So now and then a third person. So along the line, there was 2 became 5 people just giving out random hugs. And this must have went on for a good 15 minutes. The thing happened to me. She turns to me and says to me, and I swear to you, this is exactly what she said. She said, "Oh, I also give out free gropes." And I'm like, "What?" And I give out free gropes. And I said, well, fine, grope away. And then she starts pawing at me. She gets her hands all over me, and then she cups my junk. And I'm like, whoa, okay. And I said to her, hey, listen, since you grope me, I should be able to get to grope you. And she said, go for it. So now I've got my hands all over her, and then we just look at each other, and we said, and we went back to the hugs. But as the day closed down, we walked to the exit, and we just started making out right there. It was pretty freaking awesome. And then we spent the rest of the evening. I didn't go home with her, but we spent the rest of the evening. We went to McDonald's, made out there, and and then we went to our respective places. We went to Brooklyn. I came back here, and Never saw her again. Not even at the next con. So
Did you get a number?
I guess.
Get a number, an email, an AIM? Do kids still do?
No, I left it out there because I really liked the way the story ended. You know,
on a high note.
But I think if it ended on a high note. I think if it would have gone, it's one of those things that if you dragged it on, it would have just soured. It's just like, okay, I made out with some random cute chick at the Comic-Con, and that was it. I don't need anything else. There was this before I shut up. There was this one other occasion. This one's a pretty funny story. I went to a Comic-Con the Comic-Con a couple of years after. I was walking around the vendors area. And I don't know if you know about the Sonic the Hedgehog character Rouge, that white bat. Are you familiar with that?
Sort of. It's kind of familiar. I think that character's in one of the racing games.
Yeah. So I was there, and I was looking into the vendors, and then I felt like a slash across my left shoulder, like something really scratched me hard, and I went, "Oh fuck, that hurt." And I looked at and it was this really cute girl dressed as Rouge. And she had like a pair of fake wings, and one of the wires that was holding up the wings was sticking out and cut me. And I was like, "Oh, you cut me," like really playing out. She was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry." And she was like, "Oh," and then we start talking. And then I said, like, "So, what do you like to do for fun?" She was like, "Oh, I like to masturbate." And I'm like, "What?" And she's like, "Yeah." So what about your boyfriend? Doesn't he handle it? I was like, "Oh no, he's in Boston." And we got to talking, and she thought I was attractive and handsome, and she gave me her number. So I started talking to her or texting her, and then she dropped like a really scary bomb on me. She said, "Oh, I'm turning 18 in 3 months." And I'm like, "What?" She said, "Oh yeah, I'm 17." I said, "Okay, okay, this is kind of bad." So, because it was kind of a weird situation, because she's 17, but she's going to be 18 in 3 months. So should I wait it out? Kind of like just keep talking to. And I probably would have, but then she revealed to me that her dad was a fucking cop. After that, I was like, "Nah, forget it. I'm done. I'm out." And I haven't spoken to her since.
Yeah, I don't know. 18 is, to me personally, personal preference. Anything under 21 is a hell no. And maybe 25. 25 is kind of like the unofficial cutoff, like 25-ish.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, each situation's different, but I don't know. But I think you made
I know what you're saying. I was just talking and just went on. But again, so I didn't find out what her actual age till later on. So
yeah, all you creepy.
So I think I just cut that off. But like I was saying before, if there was a time that basically if you couldn't get a number at a Comic-Con or any con, that was like you might as well just cut off your genitals, because they're of no use to you at that point.
To be honest, when I used to go to Comic-Cons, it was back when it was legit Comic-Cons. When it was, the flea market that you're complaining about, that's what it was.
Yeah.
It was, people selling swag, and there were some, like, I guess their version of booth girls, but there are no booths, there's just tables. A few guys giving out autographs and freak stuff. We used to go to the one, it was in a church basement, like on 59th Street in the city. Like, and, Chiller Theater. So, it was really, like, I guess I missed out on this portion of the life cycle of a con, where, you could meet girls. Because when I went, there were no girls. It was...
No, I guess, I remember the first time, my first experience with like a con wasn't really, I don't know if it was technically a con, it was probably more of an expo.
Yeah.
But I remember it was actually in 1997, and I went to the Penn Plaza, which was, I don't know if it's still there, but at the time it was a Penn Plaza.
Yeah.
And I went in there.
That one too.
and it was pretty cool. It was dusty, and there were like vendors selling old comics, and there were some people there. I met David Carradine there. Lou Ferrigno I have a picture. I had a picture at the time of Lou Ferrigno with me in a headlock. By the way, I don't care if he's playing around. Those biceps like constricted my throat, like to all be damned.
I mean, he's in excellent shape, man. He's pushing 60. If not, he's already reached 60, and he is still. Yeah,
man. The guy is the Hulk in my book. Like I don't really think that was special effects. I think he was moving all that heavy shit on the TV show.
Yeah.
So I met Derek Carey, I met Lou Ferrigno. I also met Simon Beasley, which is one of the co-creators of the Ninja Turtles, and is a personal hero of mine.
Beasley didn't. Ninja Turtles was Eastman and Laird.
Huh?
Ninja Turtles is Peter Eastman and Kevin Laird.
Oh, okay.
Who else is?
Well,
he's a Simon Beasley guy.
Simon Beasley, yeah. My bad. And I met Julie Strain.
Who was married to she's married to either Kevin Eastman or Peter Laird. She's married to one of them.
Yeah, she's married to Eastman, and the woman's a fucking Amazon, man. At least at the time, she was massive. I've never seen. She's like the tallest woman I've ever met face to face.
Yeah, I think she's about maybe 5'9"-ish, and she wears heels.
Yeah. She towered over me. Granted, I'm a short guy. I can't deny that. But she was like, she looked like she could lift me with one hand. It was pretty scary.
It's a podcast. You can lie about your height. I am 6'8".
Right. What I say. But yeah, back to my 3 good points about the cons lately. Again, the ban on slutty costumes does make a point that it is a good thing because, a lot more parents are bringing their kids along to the cons. There was a time where that wasn't the so often because, now there's more of a generation of geeks and nerds out there than there ever was, and they're holding on to it for a lot longer. Back in the day, if you were 40 and you were considered a geek or a nerd, people would look down on you. But now it's so much part of the culture where people they can be a geek or a nerd to the end of their days openly and it not be a problem. And because of this, a lot of them are bringing their kids. And quite frankly, if I had a 5-year-old daughter and I was at a con, I wouldn't want her to see the Bible black girls flashing everybody.
Yeah, which kind of brings up a point.
So I can understand
these guys got laid.
why that changed.
Yeah, these guys.
Huh?
No, it's amazing that the fact that these guys have even gotten laid to have kids.
Yes. Oh man, that is funny.
But what annoys me personally is when I was growing up. Even though you're kind of behind me by some change, but still, I think when we were growing up, all this shit.
Diego, remember we're on the podcast. We can lie about our ages.
All right, so when I graduated high school 3 months ago. No, but seriously, growing up, all this shit that's popular now was looked down upon. You know what I'm saying? I was the wrestling geek. I was the comic book geek. I was this, that, and now all that stuff is accepted by the mainstream, and I'm and on a physical thing, this Kylie Jenner challenge, people making their lips big on purpose. My lips are pretty big, and I was made fun. They made fun of me for it. And I'm I was born 15, 20 years too late.
See, I think the reason it is, in all honesty, is because the internet, pure and simple. Because here's the thing, before the internet really came into play, back in the early to mid 90s, we were isolated from one another. If you liked comics, the only way to find someone that liked comics as much as you did was to go to a comic book store. Yeah. And people couldn't create forums or web pages or of any of these kinds. So we just there was so many out there we didn't know there were out there. We couldn't say, hey, I like comic books. Oh, you like comic books too? I didn't know. But now with the internet the way it is, people there's like the community has grown because we're all aware of one another. We all know that we exist out there. You like anime? Go to an anime page. Go to an anime channel. Go to an anime like a
Facebook group,
a site on Facebook, and it's galvanized people. It's made these people realize, hey, number one, you're not weird for liking this, and number two, there's all this community behind it. You know, and that's what I like about most of it, the internet, because now it's really made communities for everybody. If you like toy cars, you could be 40, like Matchbox cars, and that's perfectly fine now because there's a community there. You know, like if you like Hot Wheels, fuck it, there's a community there. If you're into like old classic video games, there's a community there. There's literally a home for everyone and everything now. So
yeah.
There's and the funny thing is now that like the main corporations, the big high echelons are aware of these people existing. Of course, they're going to pander to them and try to make money off of them. Like, hey, these people really like comics. Let's make comic book movies. And look at the last Avengers movie that Disney made. It's like it basically printed money.
Yeah, and
if you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, and it's pretty funny. It's just like I already lost my train of thought. It's just that you know, back in the day, I kind of feel bad about this. It's just like I remember this one guy tried to introduce me to Doom Patrol, and I was obsessed with anything X-Men. And that's like, you know, like he was like, I kind of BS'd him. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm gonna buy it. Second, he turned his back. I put it right back on the shelf, and he caught me, and man, I broke that nerd's heart.
Wow, yeah, there was a lot of it was always that one DC versus Marvel hatred. It was a serious rivalry that existed. I don't know if it still exists today, but back in the day, oh my god, it was like the Capulets and the Montagues.
It still exists. I mean, if you see any photos of anything online, you'll just see people, oh, it was better. But actually, it's funny that you talk about communities and forums and whatever. Like, it's like, you know, well, like, you know, the internet's connecting. You know, Neal Jones, the guy, the guest we had on today, he has two of them. You know, In Your Head, which is a wrestling forum, and Without Your Head, which is a horror movie forum. So it's just like, you know, he got like these two things. It's like so, you know, like the horror. You know, it's like, you know, people from like Texas, Germany, New York City, Rhode Island, you know, everybody talking about this one thing they love. And then when you go to the wrestling, it's like the same thing. People from Australia, New York, Detroit, you know, Georgia, everybody talking about the same thing they like. It's like a online community that he's built, not one but two of them. Which is why, you know, I asked him to be my first guest, because he built two communities based off podcasting online forums. So
what I really like about the age we live in, and it's actually a really good place now for female fans, I like to say. I mean, like, granted, there's still a lot of opposition from people, and I think it's stupid, but, you know, there was a time back in the day where, like, people don't realize it, as difficult as it was for dudes to admit that they like comic books and all this, it was really difficult for girls, you know, because, like, you know, they weren't expected to like these things. If a guy liked it, he was a loser, but he was still a guy. If a girl liked these things, they kind of question things, you know, like, you know, are you really a girl or anything? So, and then you got, you know, female comic book fans. You got female comic book. There's good comic book writers, female comic book artists that are doing really amazing work now. Out there. Female gamers, female wrestling fans. I was unaware of how many female fans there are out there until recently. Like, I go on Facebook and I see all these people that are like really into all these girls that are really into pro wrestling, and they watch it religiously, and they have their favorite wrestlers. And on all honesty, growing up, I didn't know that was a thing. Not that I didn't want it to be a thing, I just was ignorant to it. So I think that it's majorly good for the female, you know, gender, because it proves that they do exist, and they are just as valuable as any dude in the community. And I hope that the number of girls that like comic books and video games, it grows over time. I think we need more of it.
Yeah, we're actually we have
no, go on.
we have nothing confirmed yet, but there's 2 female comic book artists that I'm currently trying to recruit to be interview subjects for the show. The show is how things have, in addition to Ozzy, other comic book artists as well. Actually,
now that we're talking about books, let's segue. Let's do a little non-segue back to the yaoi. We're talking about the homoerotic porn.
Yeah, fan fiction.
Let's go back to that because that needs to be spoken about.
All right.
Because we're talking about comics, we're talking about women. What better way to segue into the the homoerotic books? Because I have seen a lot of. I have known some girls that are writers and artists of like faux manga, like Americanized manga, that do like what's called yaoi, which is basically man on man. So I don't know if you've ever seen any of these comics. I don't know if you've seen anything on the internet. But that's basically just, dudes, romance story between dudes. And it goes back to what you were talking about earlier, which is, the homoerotica. And, it's not just, novelizations. There are more than just, like, words on paper. There's actual illustrations, which I have seen, by the way. And it's pretty crazy shit.
How did you come across this? Because that's not something you just like stumble and fall into.
Yeah, exactly. It's like an open manner on a whole card. I used to have a friend of mine that she was obsessed with yaoi, Japanese man on man action. Like everything she read was yaoi. And she would show it to me, and I would be like, no, thanks, I'm all right. But she showed me, and she showed me what she's written, and she showed me what she's drawn, and she was a really good artist too. I'm not gonna take that away from her, despite her subject matter.
Yeah.
But yeah, that she would take current stories. Whatever she had like. She would do something based on like her favorite anime. Sometimes she would do something based on an American comic book. I can't even tell you how. Like, there's one thing she did with the Flash and Superman, which let's just say it was faster than a speeding bullet.
No, I don't even want to know. I mean,
yeah, you don't.
I mean, I love my homosexual friends, but I don't want to know anything about. I don't want to know about anybody's sex life, even the heteros. I don't want to know about anything.
Keep that door closed.
It doesn't involve me.
I asked her, like, why does she like this stuff? And then she said to me, well, why do you like girl on girl? I said, and made me sit down. Like, have you ever really sat down and analyzed why you like something sexual? It's the weirdest exodus in your mind you'll ever take. Like, there's a lot of like questions of the universe you can contemplate. Why you're into something sexually, that's like the weirdest travel you can ever take. So I sat down, and I started thinking about myself, like, well, why do I like girl on girl? It makes no logical sense. It's not like I'm having sex with these girls, so why do I like it? Mm-hmm. And then the only answer that came to mind was like, well, it's 2 hot chicks, I guess, why 2 for the price of 1? And she said, there you go. And that was her answer, and that was a pretty astute answer. So basically it's just one dude, 2 dudes being attractive together.
Yeah. I mean, I learned from an early age. I don't want to say how early. I think I was still somewhat in high school or just graduated, where, we were hanging out with a bunch of girls, and I made like a homoerotic gesture to one of my friends. And the girls, they popped for it. My boy was not. he wasn't happy about it. But when the girls, they popped for whatever I did. I forgot. I think I like fake dry humped them or something. And they're like, holy crap, chicks like this stuff. And to this day, I still do it, man. Like, I still like, I still goofy. Like, like if I see girls around, I'm just gonna like, pretend I'm molest one of my guy friends. Yeah, the bigger and scarier he is, the funnier and better it is.
Yeah, I get you.
Yeah.
See, I can't do that kind of thing because, like I said before, I'm a little guy. So in most sexual man on man scenarios, I look like I'm the
you're
like I'm the twink of the two. Or anything.
Yeah, you're
so
I'm taking it.
So like I don't think I would be very attractive in that scenario. They probably think I'm the one getting flipped around.
I don't know. I think it's called. I think their chicks are into that. I think it's called pegging, Pegging. You know what? Oh god, I just found this out a couple of days ago. If we're gonna have to describe this podcast to people, I think it's gonna end up. I mean, we're trying to make it an entertainment podcast and pop culture and whatever. But I think at the end of the day, we're gonna be a Rule 34 podcast. Pegging, which if a woman even thinks about this, like it's not happening with me. Like I might, if we get into some after dark stories later, I might mention some scenarios. But pegging is when the female.
This is happening after dark.
When it comes to pegging, this isn't happening. Pegging is. Pegging is when the female puts on a strap on, and I'll just leave it at that.
Oh, okay.
So that's what pegging is. And I was dating a chick who she always like made that joke, and she was like make gestures, and then she would kind of like almost like with her hands like try to do things, and I'm just like eventually I'm like, all right, if this is what you're really into, no offense, it's not what I'm into. So I think this just isn't working out.
Yeah. So this tunnel, the sign on this tunnel reads exit only.
Pretty much. That's why I got the tattoo. I got a tramp stamp that says stop.
No, not here. But yeah, back to the main subject. But as for homoerotic fan fiction, from what I understand now, is and believe it or not, the most I've heard of was from like the show Supernatural. Like that one has
I need to watch
way
that show.
too much.
I need to watch that show. It looks good. I've seen a few episodes, but not in sequential order. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I only saw it up to season 5, and then I just got tired of it because look, to be fairly honest, the show should have ended at season 3, and it would have ended on a high note. It would have ended in a logical note. But they just kept coming to these people with trucks full of money and say, we want you to make more money, more episodes. Okay, we're going to fuck up our own storyline. And they did. They took a big steaming dump all over their storyline, and now it goes nowhere.
Oh, small CDs.
I tell you right now, it's so bad it might as well have been directed by freaking Michael Bay.
Hey, I love Michael Bay.
And that's why you fail.
I mean, then again, we do host bad movie nights, so. Actually, if we go, once again, we're going right back into Rule 34 on the whole homoerotic thing. In case obviously you guys don't know this, Hector and I, actually we're not even going to mention the subject matter. Hector and I, we belong to a LARPing group, live action role playing. Even though I don't know about you, but me, I know nothing about role playing. But here we are, we're doing live action role playing with a bunch of people. And these two new girls, they joined in on the LARP, and they're explaining how the night before they were role playing with each other on Facebook. And I don't remember if it was a Harry Potter LARP or a Lord of the Rings LARP, but they were LARPing online, and it eventually became like a homoerotic thing again, where both of them were dudes, and they end up being guys pegging each other, and I'm just like, I don't know, I'm just like baffled by. I'm literally baffled by it. Like, hey, first of all, there's no longer role playing. You guys are cybersexing. Or that's what's called, right? Cybersex? Do people even do that shit? I never got into that. Like, that really, my imagination is like, if it's not the real thing, I literally could care less. Like, phone sex, cybersex. I mean, one time, if we're going way off course now, but hey, it's a podcast.
Yeah, I've done both. I enjoy it. I'm not gonna lie that I don't, but I can understand why people are like again like not so much into it, because it'd be kind of like the equivalent of you being, and I'm going to say this again, but it's kind of like being hungry and someone like describing a meal to you.
Pretty much. That's
like,
exactly what it is.
You know, it's like, oh man, oh baby, oh I'm so hungry. What are you eating? Well, I'm eating a bruschetta. It's covered in cheese.
Oh, what kind of cheese?
Say it slowly, baby.
What kind of cheese
are we talking about?
What kind of cheese are we talking about?
Yeah, slather that. But yeah. You know, the funny thing is, I've always said this before, that's the same reason I don't like strip clubs. I've never been to a strip club. I have no desire to go to a strip club. And they always ask me, well, why don't you ever want to go to a strip club? Because that's like, I'm going into a strip club and I'm paying to look at the women and not touch them. That is like going to Wendy's and you're only allowed to look at the burgers.
That's true. Like, I've only been to a handful of them, and each time it's just not been good times for the girls, because I tell them immediately, listen,
now when you say handful, are you talking about the asses you've grabbed? Is that what you're saying?
Nah, I don't touch anybody. No, I went a few times, and I told the girls, I was like, listen, man, I'm not here for you, so I'm a waste of your time. I'm just gonna, go to the bar, talk to the bartender, if it's male or female, and get beer while my idiot friends are done wasting their money on you guys. And man, they weren't fans of me for good reasons. And but I was up front. I'm like, look, I don't want to waste your time. I don't want you to waste mine. I'm not gonna give you any money. You're not gonna give me, even if you were gonna give me whatever. I'm not interested. And
what I love about I've never been to a strip club. However, I was talked to on the street by a stripper, and is that to this very day I don't know if it was like something or nothing. What had happened was, again, I'm gonna share one of my stories with you. What had happened is one time I was on the bus, getting on the bus, and I was, this was like mid '90s, so I was using my CD player Walkman, and I was listening to my Cradle of Filth. And if you're a Cradle of fan, you're my friend. And I'm listening, and I'm wearing my Metallica Masters of Puppets shirts. And this cute girl with blonde hair, comes out of nowhere and says, "Hey, I like your shirt. I like that band." So we started talking. And then we both get on the bus and we start talking, and I show her the song. I let her hear my song, and she's like, "Oh, she looks like she's really digging me." And she was about to get off the bus, and she said, "You should come see me where I work." I said, "Where do you work?" And then she hands me a card, and she's one of the strippers in some strip club in Newark. I was like, "Fuck, you're just trying to get money off of me."
Yeah, pretty much.
Because it's amazing how, like, I think that's the one thing strippers and like female bartenders have in common. They're very and waitresses. They're very Machiavellian. Like they will do anything. Well, basically, any woman like the sales aspect will like pretend to flirt with you, and just to get that extra amount of money out of you. And there are people that just fall for it. And like, dude, she doesn't like you. She's just trying to get money off of you. Yeah. But these guys, they're like convinced that these chicks are falling in love with them.
Yeah, let me tell two quick stories before we wrap up here, because we're at the 2 minutes. Yeah, we're at the 2 minute warning. Quickly, one time we were in Vegas, this one stripper took at least she scammed at least $400 off my boy. This is still second hand to me, because when they said they were going to the Crazy Horse #2, I said I'm not going there. They all went. They all lost hundreds of bucks, and nothing happened. I went to a local place, and I'm not gonna get too personal, but I had a good time. Another thing I'm gonna mention, which makes me laugh. We're at a diner here in Jersey, and there's a chick, Asian girl, black hair. I won't say she's Filipino. She is, surprisingly for an Asian, stacked. And my boy, who's into that, he is drooling over this girl the whole time, drooling over her. And so when the bill comes, there's like 8 of us there, and he's like, all right, guys, everyone put in $5 tips. Everybody put in $5 tips. He's like, make all of us put $5 in for a tip. My meal. So then, so when he found out she had a boyfriend, he's just like, no tip for her, no tip for her. And he like took all the tip money, and I'm like, dude, are you fucking serious? No, she needs to get tips. So, on that note, let me end this podcast. Hector, thank you for helping me out here. We'll be back next week, folks.
Thank you for letting yourself be helped.
Give me a second. Yeah, give me a second. So yeah, good night. We'll come up with a catchphrase next week, and talk to you later.
I got blisters on me